Yes, students, switch on your videos. Come on, quickly. All right, very good. Seth and Sarah, you people also switch on your videos. All right, very good. Okay. Now, in the previous class, we had talked about sclerenchyma, right? Now, when we talked about sclerenchyma, let's just quickly revise the two things that we actually talked about. The first one was collenchyma. So, collenchyma is one of the type of simple permanent tissue, and all of the cells of the collenchyma, they are living cells, and that means that the protoplasm is present in them. Now the cells, they can be elongated, like the structure can be elongated, and they have irregular thickenings, meaning they are thickened at some points, and those are the points, or you can say the areas in the wall which we call as wall thickenings. Now, intercellular spaces are very little because the cells are not loosely packed. The cells are very tightly, compactly arranged. That is why no intercellular spaces are there. Or you can say very little intercellular spaces are there. Talking about the function, so it provides mechanical strength. Apart from that, it also provides flexibility to the plant, and it allows the plant to bend in various directions without breaking. Since it is allowing the plant to be flexible, so because of that very reason, the plant can bend in any direction without breakage. Now, it is present in the leaves, in the stem, but always remember that the collenchyma is absent in the roots. Now, who can explain sclerenchyma to me? Anyone who can explain sclerenchyma?
Ma'am, dead cells that are devoid of protoplasm.
Very good. All the cells in the sclerenchyma, they are dead. And why they are dead? Because they do not have the protoplasm present. Now, the cell here is very thick because the cell wall is lignified. Lignified means it has the presence of lignin. And the cells of the sclerenchyma, they have very narrow lumen. Now, talking about what lignin is, so it is a chemical substance which acts like cement and it hardens the cell. Now, the cell wall is so thick that there is no intercellular. So, starting from parenchyma, we had a lot of intercellular spaces. Coming on to collenchyma, the intercellular spaces were very little, and here there will be no intercellular spaces present at all. Moving forward, where is it present? So the sclerenchyma, this is present in the stem, around the vascular bundles, the veins of leaves, and in the hard covering of seeds and nuts. Okay. Now, what happens is that in some of the older plants, right, in like you can say in maximum of the older plants, the kind of tissue which is present in them in abundance you can say is the sclerenchyma, because if you see or look at the bark of the tree, it is so hard, right? Why is it hard? Because of the presence of sclerenchyma. Clear? All right, now there is like some points that I'd like people to understand. See, in the older plants, okay, the plants that are older. So in the older plants, the outer protective layer, meaning, see, the outer layer of the plant is known as epidermis. Okay, the outer protective layer is called as the epidermis. So in the older plants, the outer protective tissue, that is the epidermis, it undergoes certain changes, meaning it changes accordingly, and then it gets replaced by the secondary meristem. We know what primary meristem and secondary meristem is, isn't it? The meristem that is formed in the first time in the plant's life, that is the primary meristem. And later on, when the plant matures, then the secondary meristem is found. The cells on the outside, they are cut off from the inside. Okay, so in the older plants, the outer protective tissue, that is epidermis. The outer layer or the outer protective tissue is the epidermis. Now, what does it do? It gets, you can say, it undergoes certain changes. It undergoes changes. And then what happened? And then is replaced by the secondary meristem. Okay. Now this is when the plant is growing old. Clear? Any doubts up until now? All right. So with that being said, we have actually completed the simple permanent tissues. The whole entire part about the simple permanent tissue, it gets completed with the completion of sclerenchyme. Now we'll move on to the next, that is the complex permanent tissues. Now, who can tell me what is a complex permanent tissue?
Ma'am, tissue is composed of one or more type of cells.
Yeah, see, the cells which are found in the complex permanent tissues, they are structurally different. Meaning if, like, let's just say 10 cells are found, let's just say, like, we are assuming it. So if 10 cells are found, all 10 of them will be different. Different in shape, different in size, different in all the variety of structures. So those kind of tissues that are made by different kinds of tissues or cells, that is what we call as the complex permanent tissue. Now here, what happens is that, okay, we understand there are variety of cells that are present. Now each of these cells, they sort of work together. They sort of, like, you can say, they work in a very coordinated manner to perform a common function, that is whatever it is for the plant to do so, right? Now what are the two types of complex permanent tissues?
Xylem and phloem.
Xylem and phloem. Now xylem is the connective tissue, or you can say the complex permanent tissue that is responsible for the conduction of water and the conduction of minerals. Okay. And phloem is the kind of complex permanent tissue that is responsible for the conduction of food. Okay. Now from where to where, we'll talk about that. But up until now, is everything clear? Any doubts?
And what is conduction?
Conduction means, for example, see, let's just say roots are there. Okay. The roots are present in the soil. Now, from the soil, they absorb the water. Now, they have to transport that water to the leaves so that the photosynthesis can be done. So, this transferring of water through the, like, from the roots to the leaves, it is happening via xylem. And this whole process of like the transportation or the transferring of water is what we call as conduction. Clear, students? Any doubts?
Oh,
So talking about the complex permanent tissue, so these are the types of tissue. These are the types of tissues which are made up of made up of structurally different and more than one kind of cells. Okay, now the second point is that all of the different cells work in a coordinated manner to perform a common function. Okay, it performs a common function. Now, the complex permanent tissue is of two types. Complex permanent tissues are of two types. The first one that we have is the xylem, and the second one that we have is the phloem. Any doubts up until now, students? All right, now you people can note it down, then we'll move forward.
No, no.
Everyone's done? All of you are done, students?
Yes, ma'am.
No, no.
Okay, everyone's done. Yes, everyone's done.
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone. What about the others?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
very
ma'am.
good. All right. Okay, switch back your videos on, students. Now we'll talk more about xylem and phloem, meaning in detail about them. Okay. Now see, when we talk about xylem and phloem, they are, as I told you, they are the conducting tissues that are present in the plant. Conducting means they are responsible for the transportation of either water and minerals, or the second thing is they can be responsible for the transportation of food in the plants. So xylem and phloem both, they are responsible for transportation. And since they are responsible for transportation, we call them as conducting tissues, or you can also call them as vascular tissues. So if I say complex permanent tissue, or if I say vascular tissue, or if I say conducting tissues, all of it means the same. All of it means the same, meaning we are talking about xylem and phloem. Okay. Only one student switched her video on. Rest, no one. Xylem and phloem are known as conducting tissues, conducting tissues, or vascular tissues. Or vascular tissues. Now, why? As I told you, as they are are responsible, as they are responsible for the transportation, of food, water, and of course minerals. So that is why they are known as the conducting tissues or the vascular tissues. Now the first one that we are going to discuss in detail is the xylem. Xylem. It is the water conducting tissue of the plant. Water conducting tissue of the plant. Now see, whether we talk about the xylem or whether we talk about the phloem, both of them, they are not just present in a singular form, they have components present in them. So the xylem, just like I said, it has components present. It means that the xylem, with the help of the different components that are there in it, it performs its function, or it performs what it is supposed to do. For example, xylem has 4 components, or you can say 5 components in totality. So xylem contains 5 components, 5 components, each of which have different functions to perform. Like they are responsible for performing different functions. Now, when I talk about the different types of, or you can say the different components, so this is xylem. So it has 5 components. The first one is tracheids. Tracheids. The second one is vessels. Okay, tracheids, vessel. Not wait. Then it has xylem fibers. And then it has xylem parenchyma. Okay, 4 components are there. For your level, we'll only talk about 4. Yeah. So, tracheids, vessels, xylem fibers, xylem parenchyma. Now, if you look at the components on the screen, students, can someone tell me which one out of these 4 components would have the function of storage? Look at the 4 names. Try to recall something.
Storage
Tell.
or transportation?
Storage. One of the components, it has a storage function. It stores. Which one would
Xylem
store?
parenchyma.
Very good. Exactly. Xylem parenchyma will store some of the food products. Or why? Because parenchyma, you people remember the function of parenchyma, right? So it's just the parenchyma which is found in the xylem. So we call it as the xylem parenchyma. Now talking about tracheids and vessels, see, they are the main conducting proper, like you can say they have the conducting properties associated with them, whether it is the tracheids or whether it is the vessels. Both of them are responsible for the transportation. Xylem fibers. See, wherever fibers are present in the plants, usually, have you seen like jute fibers? How many of you seen jute bags? You people have seen jute?
Yes,
Uh,
ma'am.
okay. Have you people seen that the coconut, the brown coconut and the husk around it, right? Those are fibers. So whenever I say fibers, imagine dry stuff. Okay. And these fibers, they, since they are dead, fibers will always be dead and they are responsible for, you can say, supporting the plant. They do the process of support. Okay. So tracheids, vessels, xylem fibers and xylem parenchyma, each of these components have its own function to perform. But since they're primarily like involved in the conduction of water, that is why we call them as the xylem components. Okay, now we're going to see the function of tracheids, the first one. Okay, now talking about the tracheids. So first we'll write the characteristics, the tracheids. Okay, now see, tracheids, something about them is that they are elongated cells, they are flat, and they have tapering ends. Tapering means, for example, if this is the cell, so tapering means pointed or thin ends like this. Pointed or thin ends. So they have tapering ends. So talking about their characteristics, so we'll write that they are made of elongated cells, with flat and tapering ends. Now, do you people have the pictures of tracheids in your book? Can you check?
Yes, ma'am.
You have, right? Can you see it has a pointy end?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. So that end, like it will be like cylindrical in the middle, but towards the end it becomes like a point, isn't it? So that is what I mean by tapering. Tapering means it gets thinner and pointed at the end. The whole structure need not to be pointed, but the endings will be. So that is what the characteristic of tracheid is. Now talking about the function. So the tracheids, they provide a network so that the water transport can happen. Okay, imagine it like being connected from one cell to another cell and it conducts water in them. So the tracheids, they provide a network, network of hollow and connected cells, of hollow and connected cells for the transportation of water. Transportation of water. This is what the tracheids do. Any doubts up until now? All right,
No.
very good. Okay, now you people can note it down.
1 month.
Everyone's done? Students, all of you are done till here?
Yes.
Second month.
Everyone's done?
Yes.
Done.
Everyone's done?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, students. So yeah, okay. This part is left. You note this down.
Done, ma'am.